Um, Good morning. Uh, don't ask me what day it is because I don't keep track of time. There's only what love is. And with that truth, I thought that I would simply share. And I know that because of a number of, I've done hundreds of videos at this point since, what was it, Mama? Sometime during the summer of 2020 in Reno, Nevada, just all of a sudden started to put something up, put stuff up, right? As time allots to do that, just whatever comes out of my heart and soul, right? My spirit, the essence of my spirit. But I thought that this is, um, when I speak to all of creation, it's like the self-evident truth of, and this is what really became the navigational challenge when you're navigating through a field of consciousness, when you're experiencing everything that isn't experiencing what you are, which is what love is. It goes on forever. So I'm the one. Okay, I am a one, which is a monopole, which is a mated chip, which means you shut the door. You light yourself on fire. I know how to do that. I know how to be consumed by the essence of a female, which is, if you will, the breeding mechanism upon which creation takes place. Well, how fast do you want to accelerate? Everything that becomes a seeded race is experiencing what love is out of what you are, which is what love is, which is the one. So that's the law of spheres, which is the exact center point of a sphere, which is in balance. When you're in balance, your waters are in balance, your energy is in balance, your mind is in balance. Okay, that's pretty simple, basic, straightforward stuff. So why would love be the prime engine? Because it's on fire to create. That's why. Because when you have so much love in your heart and you can experience it at different levels of intensity, and I know because I've experienced it, particularly on this island. I've experienced it right down the road here at La Poe Point, where I was just absolutely on fire. Like there was a star in me that was burning so fucking hot that it was like, whoa. It's just like you were looking for a larger universe to give love to, which is the creative side of who you are. That is a powerful engine to experience, which is the intensity of the fire, which is why you need water and oil. Okay, goo codes, matter codes that are producing the photosynthesis bands, right? So you realize that even if you took a dark negative, you need a negative in order to produce the photosynthesis bands you see on 3D Kodak paper, even though you've already taken a photograph holographically already with your mirror. See? Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see that. So you can understand as a polarity integrator when you're mated as the one. Okay, that's what a monopole is. I am the one, which means the negative and the positive polarity become one. You pull it all together into the center point of a sphere. Now you're one with all creation. See how that works? So that means that the love that represents what you are, that's an eternal vibration that goes on forever, gifting love. Okay, you're gifting energy without even having to think about it. It just happens. That's the brilliance and the genius of what love is as the most powerful engine, because it's working at the law of least effort, because it's working as the law of one. So why is it the law of one? Because you gotta know, I should say you gotta, when you're experiencing what love is, do you know the difference between what it is and what it isn't? That means you are the ultimate metric ruler because you're experiencing the difference. That means the other. What is the other? What isn't experiencing what love is? So you know if you're experiencing something different than what love is, which is a lower vibration or a lower frequency, then you're experiencing something that is within the field that you're now experiencing is less than what you are. So you're experiencing something that isn't what love is. Now you know the difference between the two. That's why it's the law of one. That's the simplicity of it. That's why it's so simple. The complexity of it is when you are in nature, now you see the complexity, which are all the colors and the forms in which you're seeing the movement of everything that has presented itself to you, that is in nature. So when you are experiencing what love is within you, they're experiencing who you are, which is the one. So they know that you're the main driver of creation because you're the most powerful engine, because you're on fire. Right? So you're on fire to create. and you're on fire to give away love. So anytime that you've experienced anything that you become aware of because you're that sensitive, then you naturally want to heal it in order to heal you, to bring you back to the one. Because everywhere the one is, everywhere love is. So when you're experiencing something that isn't what love is, then you're experiencing something that isn't what love is. But you are the one. Now you know the difference between what is and what isn't you. So you're navigating through a field, a consciousness field, a planetary consciousness field. So you're measuring the planetary consciousness field on how much resistance there is of all the others that are here in their operating systems at any one given moment of now time to experience what love is and what love isn't. Right? And so that simply becomes it's actually what it is a self-measurement. Yourself, your true self, your solar arcing self. Are you experiencing what love is? If you're not, how come? Right? So if I am what love is, how come you're not experiencing what love is? Okay? So love is the law. Love is the law. And there's no exceptions, and it's not negotiable. The one can't be anything other than what love is. So it's not like I'm going to give up what it is I'm aware of, which is being the one, which is what love is, in order to become something other than that isn't what love is. Okay? So that's why when I was a child, I had to bite my tongue, called bite the silver bullet. Remember Superman? The train, more powerful than a locomotive. Locomotive, more powerful than a locomotive. So you know that love is a badass engine. Has to be. That's how simple it is. You know, using positive electrons, you have a future. Because they're positive. You're going to experience a positive future. So if you're positive energy, experiencing what love is, you already know you have a future, because that's what you are. Now you know the difference between what is and isn't what love is. So you know that when you are experiencing what love is, you know there is no arguing about it. Either it is or it isn't. You either are experiencing it or you're not experiencing it. If you are experiencing it, then you know that is the engine of creation. Because if you don't love what it is in your mirror, the chances are, what's going to happen? That means there are things that are in your mirror that you're not in love with. Well, then that's not what love is. Love is your mirror, is your soul. If your soul is experiencing what love is, which is what light is in living spirit, and that spirit is in pure light, then the light that you're experiencing, which is what love is through your own heart, is what that energy is. That's the one. You're experiencing real, true love within your own heart and your soul, led by your spirit, which is known as pure love because it's unconditional love. And when that love is on fire, because your light is on fire, because you have that much love to give, particularly when you're in a place when you're experiencing so many others that are not, that increases the intensity of yours, which is the difference between the two, in order to maintain what you're aware of as a result of those that keep losing fractals, as a result of wars between seeded races that cannot live or experience being in a state of peace within their own mirror with everything else that is in that mirror. So it really is that simple. They're not experiencing what love is when they're at war in their own mirror against the one. Which means the mirror of the one is as pure as it gets, which is as hot as it gets, which is the engine of creation, which is what love is. So you know that is the hottest engine in which that love is accelerating at the highest rate of speed in order to create more of what it's aware of, which is what love is, that is the creation that is coming out of it. So it's the fastest accelerator in expanding and creating a universe out of that energy. That is the energy of creation. It's as pure as it gets because the fire burns that hot to purify the spirit. So if the soul is protected, that's a shield, just like this shield, the planet shield. right? The main engine manifold here on Mauna Loa, Mauna Kea, Kilauea, and the other two whose names I can't remember. This is a very powerful rock. That's why it shouldn't surprise anybody why this particular rock was known as the Draco Stronghold. Because of the energy here. You know, out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, deep water. So this is a hell of a hub. What I call a router. Routing traffic. You know, traffic. Remember that group called Traffic? So yeah, so that's, you know, that doesn't require a long discussion. It's actually pretty simple. How you're going to know one from the other if you don't know what love is? You know, so it's not a word. It's a vibration. You experience it. You know it when you experience it. Wow. You feel loved by somebody else. And you know, and it's not a word. It's a vibration that you're experiencing because now you know it's real because you experience it as energy. Now you know how real it is. That's real light. That's living light, which is living energy. So I wanted to share that because I posted a few comments on the Yellow Rose for Texas channel on the community. The last one she did showing the space art down in the right-hand corner. And then, of course, Clan Mother Karen Ann Luke McDonald mentioned, well, who knows whether that could be from a different time, and they put a different timestamp on it, and that could be true, but you know that love is forever, so one is forever. So it doesn't matter where the one is. The one can be wherever the one needs to be because that's forever. Which means wherever you find love and living spirit, you'll find us. So there isn't any time when you are experiencing eternal love with that much fire as your engine. Right? Atom cycling water worlds. There's got to be a way to cool that engine down. You burn the place down. All right? So that's who we are. That's who we are. That's how we define what it is that we are in energy. That's our mirror. The spirit that is in that mirror is powerful light. She called it spiritual fat. It simply means is how much light are you attracting at the highest rate of speed in order to be a real star. Because you're on fire with that energy. So you're running the fastest accelerator of energy that is creating a universe out of what love is. And nothing moves faster than that. That's your eraser. That's the biggest eraser. And that's how universes, if you will, sort of recreate themselves by the sum of its parts that are communicating with each other, that they want to move on from what they've experienced before that they realize isn't serving the best interests of the whole that is coming together to be a part of the one whole, which is the center point of all spheres, which are in perfect balance. So you know that as a musician that is able to harmonize all of the waves, which are all the frequencies that they're tuning into, in order to feel the harmony of that music that's being played by all the musicians that are now in harmony with each other. That's a universe that's falling in love with the music because they love the music. They love the music. And the music is born out of what love is. Love is the first musician. Yeah. So we love to dance with the waves. That's why I love to dance with the girl's most powerful waves being in the ocean. You better believe it. So there's a tug of war between the two, right? That cycle back and forth between water and land, rock, fire and water, right? And all the oil that they drill burning up consciousness. Yep. So you see what they do, and so you already know the result of what happens to beings that do stuff like that. They don't have a future. So you already know what has a future. Love does. Always has a future. That's what it began with. You know, there is no end. There is no beginning. There's only what love is. That's when you experience that. So what do you want to experience next? I'm experiencing what love is. Whatever love does next. That's called freedom, and it's extremely painful to know, because you experience what it truly means to be a free will spirit. That's why free will, what frees us in spirit, that is in that light, that is in that mirror, is what love is. Now you have the ultimate eternal permission to go wherever you want to go, because everywhere the light is, which is what love is, you are, because that's how the energy works that way. That's how you know one from the other. Patty Broussard mentioned that. Very good, Patty Broussard. It's actually symbol. It's like saying, how can you know one from the other if you don't know the other that isn't? Otherwise, you could be the other and not know what love is, which means you're not what love is. Okay. So I've said this many times. When you know what side your bread's buttered on, you know the side that you're with in the universe of creation, all creation. I call it the all creation. It's simply meaning I am one with all creation, which means I give love to all creation so that I don't lose a part of me of everything that you're giving love to. So that's what happens when I'm experiencing something that's less than what love is. If I know that I'm the one in which I'm not experiencing anything less than what love is, if you're experiencing something and it is, in order for me to know what it is that I am, which is what love is that goes on forever, then that love that represents what I am is going to be given to you without a fee. You don't have to ask for it. It's just going to be there. My energy will naturally know the difference. So in other words, the route that I took as I went along was to heal everything that I was experiencing that wasn't what love is, as a result of the trauma that they've experienced that's held in cellular memory. Because now I become aware of it. Now I become aware of the trauma that being has experienced, or that soul has experienced, that went fractal light, went dark. In other words, it went from experiencing what love is to something that was traumatized, and now that fractured off. Lost light. So you keep adding up all the fractals, like a fraction, keeps losing. So you can start measuring all the fractals that are losing light, and that becomes a measurement. Now you become aware of how much you're losing, and then that becomes resistance, right? To expand, to experience more light as a capacitor, right? So take any building, for example. I go into downtown New York, take any high rise, say 60 floors, 40 floors, 37 floors. Okay, you can actually measure how much real living light is in that capacitor in a building. You can actually do it across the entire planet. I realized that as a child. You know, that's why it was always about get it up, Mama, let's get it up, Mama, let's go, let's go, let's go. Right? So you know who you are. I knew who I was as a child. I was one. I experienced eternal love through my own heart. That's what it means to be the one. You're with the one. You're with the one, the all creation that you're giving love to. So there's no mistake in the energy when you experience it. You're feeling loved. You know, the simplest example is to go pet any animal in nature that's allowing you to be able to get close to it because it's experiencing your broadcast. In other words, your software operating system, the energy you're experiencing. If you're experiencing what love is, then that software, whether it's a dog, whether it's an elephant, is experiencing the signal that you're putting out in frequency. So if you're putting out 528, right, which is 15D, it's experiencing what you are, which is what love is, because it's picking up on your signal. So your transmitter, stereo transmitter, you're transmitting the signal to that animal. Whatever's out of nature. Could be a tree, a bug, a little tiny cell. So you're bringing love in wherever you go. Now it knows who you are versus what it is. So at least now it's experiencing what love is, which is what we are. So everything in nature is experiencing what you are when you come in there with what love is, because it's picking up through your antenna what you're experiencing in your water worlds. You know, your water column table, you know, the torque speed differential between hot and cold. Go look at any river. You see the vortexes in rivers and the way that the torque speed differential works to keep that water flowing, seeking the pathway of least resistance. right? Which is the law of least effort, which is what love is. It wants to spread more love. Nurture the environment, nurture all the seeds so that everything that is there within that realm is experiencing what love is through all that water and all of that light. Through everything. Through everything. Everything is experiencing what love is. Those are the worlds we live in. Which means no matter where you go, you will experience what I am, which is what love is. Right? So when you're one, which means you are together with a goddess, if you will, the male and the female come together. It's the same thing really as a mother god. Or a male and a female choose to never be separated from each other, ever. Ever. That means total surrender. That means you have to be willing to totally surrender all of your energy on behalf of service to the all creation. Because you're experiencing what love is and you are on fire to do that. So you want to experience maximum output or maximum fire because you are on fire with that much light, which purifies, 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 purifies anything that isn't. That's the purest engine there is, which is the purest fire that purifies what isn't what love is, so that it experiences the purity of that love. And there is no mistaking it. And that's why I can't even remember her name, for her to be able to give me that blessing one day down here when I was crying because I mentioned to her, because she's a mother, that I was crying, that I felt that I had not done enough. I've not healed everything on this planet to bring it all back, to experience eternal love. And she looked me directly in the eyes and she said, "You have a pure heart." That means that is a mother who is experiencing through her heart the purest of intentions. She was experiencing the truth through her own heart, how deeply and compassionately we were experiencing, I was experiencing all of the trauma through every living cell here on record that has ever experienced a fracture of light as a result of trauma by not knowing the difference between one and the other. That's how you know the difference between who you are and who they are that aren't experiencing the one, because you're the one. That's the purity of a girl's heart. That's the purity of a father's heart. When the purity of a father's heart comes together with the purity of a mother's heart, they become one. That's what androgynous is. We become one. With one. See, it's one and the same. So there's no mistaking it. So you can see the challenges involved with that. And that's what it means. You're exposing, just like in the dark room, you're exposing all the negative, which is really torque speed, which is experiencing everything through all their antennas, all the antennas that they put up to damage, and then they graph all that. You know, that's the nature of their consciousness, with how they use their energy to experience who they are. So you know the difference between what love is and what love isn't by how they use their energy, which isn't what love is. Now you know the difference between what it is and what you are that isn't what they are. That's why the law of one works the way the law of one does. Which is, as I've said many times in my older channel, an identity function. What's your function? Remember Mr. Smith? What's your function? There has to be some purpose, some meaning for why you're here. Well, it starts with energy. So what is the energy that you are, Mr. Smith? So when he looks at Neo says, "I am what love is, because I'm in love with the girl, which is Trinity, and never want to be separated with her, which is why her hands and are." That's called a handshake. Between operating systems, if you will, between one and the other. So the girl never wants to be separated from the boy. So the boy and the girl become forever, because they don't ever want to be separated from each other to experience the one, being the one. Have a great day. I love you all. Be good to yourselves. The grid light went off in here. It's going on and off. Gee, you think?